Hello and welcome. Tonight, Nigeria Labour Congress leadership convenes emergency meeting in Abuja, fumes over police summon of its president, Joe Ajaero, also threatens to embark on a national strike if he is detained in the course of investigation. First stumbling block stands in the way of appeal by former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onnoghen, in his bid to upturn his removal from office. As the AGF's office tells the court, the ministry is not in possession of the case file of his trial. And People's Democratic Party in fresh move to reposition itself. BOT members visit Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara as elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark in a separate event accuses former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike of anti-party activities.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's diaspora remittances hit an all-time high in July as it climbs to $553 million.
On sports news tonight, the International Tennis Integrity Agency clears world number one Yannick Sinner of any wrongdoing after twice testing positive for a banned substance earlier in the season.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, Nigeria's biggest government-backed airline, Ibom Air, makes another stride, launches the second Airbus 2300 series with capacity of about 160 passengers at a time.
And in international news from London, divers are struggling to reach the cabins of the British luxury yacht that sank off Sicily with 6 people still missing.
Trouble appears to be brewing in the labour sector as unionists, after the emergency meeting today, placed members on strike notice if its national president is detained by the police. The NLC President, Mr. Joe Ajaero, is being summoned over allegations of terrorism financing, treasonable felony and cybercrime. The police had requested that Mr. Ajaero appear for questioning at 10 a.m. today, August the 20th, even as the NLC expressed its readiness to cooperate with the invitation and has directed its legal team to seek a rescheduled date for the appearance.
The headquarters of the Nigeria Labour Congress. Nevertheless, these NLC members are here for an emergency meeting following an invitation sent to its president by the Nigeria police to respond to allegations of terrorism financing, treasonable felony and cybercrime. The NLC president arrived at the 10th floor and heads straight to the meeting that held behind closed doors. Outside the building, hundreds of workers flock into the premises and spontaneously begin singing solidarity songs condemning the police summon of the NLC president. The crowd is soon joined by some of the leaders who later briefed journalists about the outcome of the closed-door meeting of the National Executive Council.
We will honor the invitation of the Nigerian police because we are not a faceless organization, but we believe that we need an extension of time after consultation with our lawyers. And secondly, we resolve that in an event our Congress president was arrested or detained at any moment, we put our appellate on red alert to mobilize our membership across the country, that all workers in this country should down-tool their services.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the NLC in Lagos State also condemns the police summons.
As they have invited him, they have invited everybody. So we are going to follow up, and I think, like I said, my advice is to the government to tread with caution so that they will not do certain things that will take us backward. We should not be drafted to taking action which ordinarily we wouldn't want to take. But nevertheless, the workers were resolute and were watching. And I think Nigerians will hear from the leadership of the labor movement very shortly. Action may be unfolding any moment.
When the end bad governance, was about to commence, Nigeria Labour Congress have to call meetings of all our affiliates that we will not partake in that end bad governance, for the reason being that we are not an architect of that protest. Even at that we did not participate. Our president, they still want to wish on him. We will not fold our arms, and we will not allow this to happen to the president of NLC.
The recent face-off between the Nigeria police and the NLC began last week when the police led what it claimed was a raid to search for terror suspects at the headquarters of the Workers' Union.
Meanwhile, lawyer to the National President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Mr. Joe Ajero, Mr. Femi Falana, has said Mr. Ajero would be unable to honor the invitation of the Nigeria police due to a prior engagement scheduled before the invitation was received. The police had on Monday invited Mr. Ajero for questioning over allegations of terrorism financing, treasonable felony, cybercrime, and other related offences. According to the invitation letter dated August the 19th and signed by ACP Adamu Muazu on behalf of the Deputy Commissioner of Police Intelligence Response Team, the police warned that a warrant of arrest would be issued if Mr. Ajero failed to appear for interrogation on Tuesday, that's today. However, in a letter dated August the 20th and signed by Samuel Ogala on behalf of Mr. Femi Falana, it was noted that the NLC president was unavailable and would honor the invitation on Wednesday, August the 29th this year. Mr. Falana, in a letter to the Inspector General of Police through the DCP, Mohammed Ahmed Sanusi, also requested the police to furnish him with details of the allegations of criminal conspiracy, terrorism financing, treasonable felony, subversion, and cybercrime leveled against his client, Mr. Joe Ajero. Hearing of the appeal filed against the federal government by former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, at the Court of Appeal over his alleged illegal removal from office has been stalled. At the resumed hearing of the appeal filed on July the 9th, 2019, the Acting Director, Civil Appeals, Mr. Tijani Ghazali from the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice informed the court that the ministry is not in possession of the case file for the trial of the former Chief Justice of Nigeria 5 years after the conclusion of the trial. Mr. Ghazali, a senior advocate of Nigeria, informed the three-man panel of justices billed to hear the appeal that he needs some time to access the case file.
5 years after his removal from office, former Chief Justice Walter Onoye is back at the Court of Appeal, where he had come in 2019 to seek redress. He's returned to challenge his removal from office. The arrival of the three-man panel of justices signals the commencement of proceedings. After announcing appearances, counsel to the federal government, Mr. Tijani Ghazali, applies for an adjournment on the grounds that the Federal Ministry of Justice is not in possession of the case file for the trial of the former Chief Justice of Nigeria. Mr. Ghazali, a senior advocate of Nigeria, informed the three-man panel of justices billed to hear the appeal that the trial of the former CJN was contracted to a Kano-based private lawyer, Aliyu Umar, who is now late. He further tells the appellate court that not a single paper in respect of the trial and conviction of the ex-CJN is with the Federal Ministry of Justice. However, counsel to the former CJN, Chris Uche, senior advocate of Nigeria, points out to the court that some documents were actually served on the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, which was acknowledged. Mr. Uche appeals to the court to allow him move an application for accelerated hearing, which was granted in the absence of objections from the federal government.
This is a matter that had been pending for quite a while, but today the Honorable Court heard us on the prayers that we filed a long time ago for accelerated hearing of this matter, and these cases have been set down for definite hearing.
The former Chief Justice of Nigeria, who was in court to witness the proceedings, is praying the Court of Appeal to set aside the judgment of the Code of Conduct Tribunal that removed him from office and ordered the forfeiture of monies in his 5 bank accounts. It will be recalled that President Buhari had on January 25th, 2019, suspended Justice Onoye from office as a CJN and swore in Justice Tanko Muhammad to take over the leadership of the judiciary. Justice Onoye was then prosecuted for false declaration of assets at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, found guilty and removed from office. He was also made to forfeit his undeclared assets to the federal government.
The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has ordered the former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello to present himself for arraignment. The appeal court also restrained the former governor from taking any further actions regarding the charges against him until he has been formally arraigned. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Ken Amadi, the court allowed the appeal filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission against the judgment of Honorable Justice Isa Abdullahi Jamil of the Kogi State High Court in a fundamental rights case filed by the former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello in February this year. The court found that the appeal by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Jibrin Okutekwa, on behalf of the EFCC is meritorious and described as scandalous the judgment of the lower court when it held that the purpose of the case instituted at the trial court was to shield Yahaya Bello from his criminal trial. In reaching its verdict, the Court of Appeal then adopted the two issues raised by the respondent. The court held that the learned trial judge had the charge in FRN versus Ali Bello and Anor in his hand, but still set Yahaya Bello free under the guise of enforcing his fundamental rights. The court also relied on the earlier decision of Justice Olubunmi Oyewole JCA in the EFCC versus Yahaya Bello to reiterate that no court has the power to preclude a law enforcement agent from performing its statutory functions. On the whole, the court agreed with the submissions of the EFCC and held that the appeal is meritorious and is therefore allowed. Importantly, the court further held that in view of the provision of Section 3962 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, the respondent in this appeal, Alhaji Yahaya Bello, is hereby ordered to appear for his arraignment. Staying with the courts, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has dismissed the appeal filed by the Edo State House of Assembly against the reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, on the ground that the appeal amounts to a waste of time and abuse of court process. In a unanimous decision of the court, the three-man panel presided over by Justice Aki Abubakar dismissed the appeal against Mr. Shaibu, who was recently reinstated as the Edo State Deputy Governor. Elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark has accused the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike of engaging in anti-party activities which is harmful to the People's Democratic Party. He alleged that the former River State Governor's conduct has undermined the party's interests and values. He then called for his removal for the well-being of the PDP. Chief Clark warned the PDP leadership to beware of what he says are Mr. Wike's intentions and actions which can be detrimental to the party's survival.
Coupled with his activities during the 2023 presidential election, Wike has done enough to destroy PDP. This is a man who said before, criticized Matawale for defecting to APC, criticizing the man in the former governor of Ebonyi State, or mayor or something, for leaving PDP, and criticizing Ayade, the former governor of Cross River, for crossing. Today, Wike is dancing in APC, pretending that he's working for President Tinubu to become the next president in 2027. Wike must therefore go for PDP to survive. Thank you.
In part two, after the break, Senator Jumo Ibrahim hinges the problem of national development on the preponderance of mega project delivery, many of which are now abandoned. That's the crux of his lecture today at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live from Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. NLC leadership threatens to embark on a national strike if its president Joe Ajero is detained in the course of investigation. Former Chief Justice of Nigeria Walter Onogen's case suffers setback as the AGS office tells the appeal court the ministry is not in possession of the case file of his trial. PDP in fresh move to reposition itself. BOT members visit River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara as elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark in a separate event accuses FCT Minister Nyesom Wike of anti-party activities. And divers are still struggling to reach the cabins of the British luxury yacht that sank off in Sicily, with 6 persons still missing. The governor of River State, Siminalayi Fubara, has reaffirmed his membership of the People's Democratic Party, putting to rest months of speculation that he is planning to dump the PDP. Addressing the leadership and members of the PDP Board of Trustees who visited him at the Government House in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, Governor Fubara said he doubted his membership of the PDP. But the visit by the BOT has offered some conviction that he is still recognized as a member of the party, the PDP. Months after his initial visit to River State, amid the ongoing political crisis within the People's Democratic Party, the party's Board of Trustees Chairman, Senator Adolphus Wabara, has returned with a larger delegation. This delegation includes notable figures such as former national chairman of the party, Ahmed Makarfi, elder statesman Olabode George, and Senator Abdul Ningi, among others. Over the past 10 months, the PDP in River State has faced significant turmoil, threatening the unity and strength it has maintained in the South-South state since the advent of democracy in 1999. According to the BOT chairman, this visit aims to resolve the ongoing issues and keep the party intact.
We know you are caring for this party, and that is why you've been so patient. That's why you've been so patient all along to take all the, I don't want to describe it. Otherwise, as a governor, I mean, we have a former governor here. I doubt if he would have taken as much. And we have some other governors, Governor Wood, and those who aspired to be governors. So on behalf of this party, once again, let me thank you for your resilience, your wisdom, and for the fact that you are still in this party.
The visit comes amid rumors of a potential defection by Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his supporters from the PDP, especially after the recent ward and local government congresses which appear to have gone against him. Addressing the BOT leadership and members, the governor reassured them of his commitment to remain in the party.
What is important this afternoon is that we are still members of the party, and the owners of the party have visited us. So for those people outside who are, would I say, carrying all sort of rumors and propaganda, at least this visit will rest those propagandas and to tell the world that we are and we still remain members of the People's Democracy.
The visit ends with the governor and his visitors pledging to work together for the success of the PDP.
And I want to assure members of our party, genuine members of PDP that are here with us, that this is another hope to show that our decision to stand by the party, still standing by the party, is not the wrong decision.
The crisis in the River State PDP is complex. Successfully addressing it will serve as a true test of the experience and wisdom of these elderly men and women who serve on its Board of Trustees. The senator representing Ondo South Senatorial District, Jimoh Ibrahim, has called on Nigerian universities to introduce academic programs and researches focusing on the development and control of mega projects in the country. The senator made this disclosure while delivering the 2024 Foundation Day lecture of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Ondo State. According to him, researchers indicate that there are over 11,800 failed mega projects in Nigeria.
It's the 2024 Foundation Day lecture of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Ondo State, and the guest speaker is the senator representing Ondo South at Nigeria Senate, Jimoh Ibrahim. The topic of discussion is abandoned federal government mega projects, any respite from the Nigerian universities.
Every year in the Senate, we do approve capital projects.
Senator Ibrahim identifies mega projects in a developing economy as any project that costs up to 100 billion naira to execute. He notes that the mega projects are not limited to construction alone, saying that terrorism and poverty alleviation are other examples of mega projects in Nigeria.
Palliative distribution and what it costs It's a mega project. You want to give palliative to how many people? 20 million people. That is mega projects. What palliative are you releasing to the states? You are giving the states as much as 570 billion naira for palliative. That is a mega project. Who is distributing these palliatives? They will easily fail if there are no enough knowledge to back up the mega project.
He identifies 3 problems with mega projects, which are cost overrun, schedule delay, and benefit shortfall.
Now the problem is this. We have the Ministry of Works. They have Department of Works, Department of Engineering, Roads, Bridges. None of them in that ministry have a degree on mega projects. From the director to the officer, nobody have a degree on mega project. In fact, none of them have degree on project management and infrastructural control. And this is very, very sad. And they are going to spend several trillions of naira working on the roads. So every time they have to call Julius Berger to come and work on it, award the contract to Julius Berger, because that is where they can find the skill.
As a respite, he wants Nigerian universities to introduce courses and researches on mega projects management.
I challenge the university community to wake up to all important programs called mega project and infrastructure development and do something. And let our young ones, the students, let them channel their brains towards mega project development.
Distinguished Senator, sir, on behalf of our university, we present this to you.
The occasion also witnessed the presentation of an award of honor to the guest lecturer, Senator Jimo Ibrahim, by the institution's vice-chancellor.
Right, so let's head to the nation's capital, and Terry Kumi is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Ayo. Now, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoeno says his administration will continue to support meaningful business ideas to expand the state's economy with the overall goal of boosting the well-being of its citizens. The governor gave the assurance while receiving the second Airbus 220-300 for Akwa Ibom Air at the Victor Atta International Airport in Uyo, the state capital.
The Airbus A220-300 series landing here.
Ibom Air, the only airline owned by a subnational in Nigeria, had earlier signed for a total of 10 brand new aircrafts to boost its fleet and expand its operations. This Airbus 220-300 is the second of those aircrafts received so far.
So we ought to celebrate this one. What we had waited for has finally come to pass.
The management of the airline says the achievement will boost its capacity and expand its operations, thereby moving it closer to the goal of becoming a leader in the West African sub-region.
We are here to celebrate the future. Ibom Air represents the future. That future delivers on common performance. That future offers everybody a wing. Ibom Air represents that future, and that future starts today.
And forgive the engagement.
Facilitators of the project, Fidelity Bank, represented by its executive director, Mr. Charles Mwoke, says the bank is proud to be associated with the achievement. He promises continued support to the airline.
As a market leader in airline financing in Nigeria, Fidelity Bank is proud to support Ibom Air in this venture. This partnership reflects our commitment to being the bank of choice for the people of Akwa Ibom State. We pledge to do more for our valued customers as we continue to pursue our corporate mandate of helping individuals to grow, businesses to thrive, and economies to prosper.
Governor Omoina says the achievement is worth celebrating. He pledges continued support to the airline and other promising business ideas with the goal of boosting the overall well-being of the people.
This is no mean achievement, particularly at a time like this. And as long as I remain governor, I'll follow the footsteps of those that have come before me, that we will celebrate at every turn that we make a substantial achievement.
Ibom Air began operations 5 years ago as the first state-owned airline in Nigeria.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's diaspora remittances hit all-time high in July as it climbed to $553 million, according to the latest report from the central bank. That's on Business News. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the news at 10. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Ahmed Dangiwa, has inaugurated a joint steering committee to develop a blueprint for improving access to housing data in Nigeria. During the inauguration in Abuja, Mr. Dangiwa outlined the committee's objectives, which include establishing a national housing data center, creating a framework for data collection and distribution, as well as setting up a mortgage exchange. He urged the committee members to approach their task with seriousness, warning that the government will not tolerate any failure to meet their mandates. The minister emphasized that reliable data is essential for understanding housing challenges, allocating resources effectively, and prioritizing markets.
Today, we are gathered here to inaugurate the Joint Steering Committee on National Housing Data. The committee has been established as a key strategic partner among key stakeholders in Nigeria's housing market, with the mandate to develop and implement a blueprint for ensuring transparency and essential and ease of access to housing data in Nigeria. The deliverables, apart from that of the committee, are one, to develop the framework and modalities for setting up the National Housing Data Center. It's important to have that National Data Center covering technical requirements and specifications, transactional and legal documentation, including the service level agreements. We want to create a framework for data gathering channels from public and private institutions. And we want to also design a framework for distributing housing data to institutional and retail investors in the Nigerian financial market, to also develop a framework for data distribution to all participants in the housing market. We also want to establish the framework and timelines for setting up mortgage exchange. So the ratio of the...
In Niger State, 2 siblings have lost their lives following a mine collapse in Kakaki village located in Paikoro local government area. The brothers, Zubairu Ibrahim, 20, and Sadiq Ibrahim, 25, reportedly died when the mine they were working on suddenly caved in on Saturday. A search was initiated by the community members at the behest of their father, and to his utter devastation, the search party returned with the lifeless bodies of his sons, who had been found buried beneath the collapsed soil at the mine site. Meanwhile, the State Ministry of Mines and Solid Mineral Resources has once again called for strict adherence to the mining suspension order and has vowed to curb illegal mining activities across the state. And in Zamfara State, Governor Dauda Lawal has vowed to provide free medical care to women and children across the state. The governor made this statement during the commissioning of the renovated Karanamoda General Hospital. Our correspondent Sadiq Ilyasu has the report.
Seated here are officials of Zamfara State government and other invited guests who are all here to be part of the commissioning of the renovated Karanamoda General Hospital.
Villages to access healthcare.
The General Hospital has been completely renovated, fully equipped with state-of-the-art facilities and a new dental clinic built from scratch. Other general hospitals across the state will undergo similar renovations.
The new construction includes laboratory department, dental department, X-ray department, and the new hospital entrance gate. While the renovation includes the administrative block, the theater, general outpatient department, male ward, female ward, pediatric ward, eye clinic, maternity ward, medical director's office, medical director's house, nurse's house, chief nursing officer's house, hospital laundry, as well as the hospital kitchen.
In his speech, the governor reiterates his commitment to providing easy access to healthcare across the state.
Secondary healthcare facilities like this general hospital are critical for providing more advanced care. Therefore, these facilities must be made accessible and affordable to the people in line with SDG goal number 3, which aspires to ensure health and well-being for all, a significant focus of this administration.
In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
The governor commissioned the renovated hospital and then moves ahead to inspect the work done. He expresses satisfaction with the project.
We declared state of emergency in the health sector on November 30th, 2023. And part of the promises we made is to make sure we have fully equipped hospitals, free medical care, especially for women and children. And so far, like I said in my speech, we've done this in Nasarawa in Bukim local government. We've done this in Maradun. We've done this in Kaura today. We've done this in Safi. And in the next 1 week, we're going to commission that of Maru. It's the same standard.
This initiative marks a significant step towards improving healthcare delivery in Zamfara State. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
Nigeria is expected to save over 10 billion naira during the upcoming 2024 United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP29, which will hold in Baku, Azerbaijan. According to Ajuri Ngilale, the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity. This is in contrast to the amount spent during COP28 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates last year. Briefing State House correspondents to Special Advisor, who also serves as the Special Presidential Envoy on Climate Action, said a Climate Accountability and Transparency portal has been established under his office and the National Council on Climate Change to help the public track Nigeria's official delegation to the conference. He adds that President Bola Tinubu approved these cost-cutting measures in response to the public outcry that trailed the large delegation and expenditure in the last climate conference.
The National Council on Climate Change, in collaboration with my office, has established the Climate Accountability and Transparency portal, which will, among other things, ensure that all members of delegation across ministries, departments, and agencies, and including even the legislative branch of government, will be captured on a transparent portal. This will mean that Nigerians will have full and real-time access into the numbers of who is attending and those who government is sponsoring to COP29. The nearly $500,000 showcase pavilion that was purchased for last year's COP28 will no longer be an item of expenditure in COP29. We are also ensuring that some of these wasteful platforms that give rise to consultancies and subcontracts for lighting, for technological provision, that these are elements that can be provided directly from the Secretariat of the National Council on Climate Change. With all of the savings through the provision and implementation of the Climate Accountability and Transparency portal, as well as our active cut down of expenditure items that were found in the COP28 expenditure profile, we have put ourselves in a position to save this country over 10 billion naira on this 11-day event in November.
And that's it from the nation's capital. The news continues from Lagos. Back to you, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Terry. The federal government, in its quest to energize rural communities across the country, has unveiled two 100-kilowatt solar hybrid mini-grid projects it has set up in 2 communities in Edo State under the second batch of the Rural Electrification Fund, REF Call 2. The residents of the benefiting communities, Olayan in Ovia Southwest Local Government and Sule Camp in Ovia Northeast Local Government, pledged to take ownership of the mini-grids and guard against vandalism.
Oloyon community, an agrarian community of about 3,500 residents in Ovia Southwest local government area of Edo State, is said to have been bereft of electricity for decades. The federal government, through the Rural Electrification Agency, has now remedied this with the provision of a 100 kilowatt solar hybrid mini-grid housed within the community. A representative of the state government joins the agency in the commissioning of the project.
We officially commissioned the 100 kilowatt peak Oloyon hybrid project.
After a brief tour of the facility, some of the stakeholders highlight the importance of the project.
What kind of battery?
This lithium-ion battery.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed agenda is to focus on Nigerians that have been long forgotten, and that's why we are here.
Before the energy, we don't have a wedding people here, but now we have the weather who are using the solar system. We have the furniture who are using it to do their work.
One other fresh beneficiary of the federal government's 100 kilowatt solar hybrid mini-grid is Sule Camp in Ovia Northeast local government area of the state, another community that has been without power for about 30 years.
I commissioned this project to the glory of God.
If you take care of it, you don't vandalize it. They no steal them. You put security there, and you are able to recharge. And they recharge, they pay small. They use that money to make sure that this solar power is there for you. Do you pledge that you will do that?
Yes. Hello, President.
We thank our president. We thank governor. We thank our chairman. We thank everybody.
According to the Rural Electrification Agency, sustainability of the project is ensured through the Renewable Energy Users Cooperative Society, comprising members of the benefiting communities who are to be trained on technicalities, govern the project, and also act as first responders responsible for passing on relevant information to the appropriate quarters.
Afrigo Pay Financial Services Limited has announced the launch of instant POS settlement for Afrigo card transactions, marking a significant advancement in the global payment landscape. The launch follows the recent appointment of the new executive management of Afrigo Pay Financial Services, a subsidiary of the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Afrigo Pay Financial Services Limited, Mrs. Ebehije Momo, says the innovative value-added service on the national domestic card will enhance transaction efficiency and reliability.
This is a press briefing to unveil a pioneering service which provides merchants with instant credit for transactions, thereby enhancing cash flows and reducing risks associated with delays or disputes, further solidifying Afrigo as a card scheme of choice. According to the Managing Director and CEO of Afrigo Pay Financial Services Limited, Mrs. Ebehije Momo, the development underscores the commitment of Afrigo Card in driving advancements in the card payment industry and delivering unparalleled value to all stakeholders.
As soon as an Afrigo card is used on the merchant's POS, it gets immediate credit. Now, the merchant doesn't have to wait any longer. Instantly, is able to see value in his account, so it's been overwhelmingly very positive. And then for the card holder, the process is seamless. And like with every product, people are excited about the customer experience. So when the customer walks into the shop, what is the experience? Now the customer can just swipe the card and sees the merchant excited about receiving payment immediately. So for the card holder, it is seamless. The experience has been beautiful, and that's the feedback we have received so far.
Reiterating the benefits of the National Domestic Card Scheme, the company says implementing the Afrigo card presents numerous benefits for the industry and the nation.
For merchants, what it means is that they can do businesses multiple times in a single day. For card holders, it simply means that they can equally get, the value for what they have made payments for.
We are proud to come up with a domestic card scheme that is 100% Nigeria. And apart from that, we are bringing innovative solution that is #1 in the world. Today, we talked about the instant credit, once you use an Afrigo card on a POS or POS transaction. That is the first in the world. So we are comparable to any leading payment platform or institution in the world. So it's something you want to shout about.
Afrigo, Nigeria's national domestic card scheme, is designed to empower businesses and consumers with innovative solutions tailored to local needs. The scheme supports financial inclusion and economic growth by offering secure, efficient, and cost-effective payment options, thereby reducing reliance on foreign exchange, fostering the development of local skills, and opening new opportunities within the card business ecosystem in the country.
Time now for some business news with Joker Rogers.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Diaspora remittances into the country reached the highest levels ever last month, climbing by 130% year-on-year to $553 million within the period. That's according to the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a statement released today, the financial market regulator says the figure represents the highest monthly total inflows on record, attributable to ongoing efforts to enhance forex liquidity and strengthen public confidence in the foreign exchange market. These measures include granting licenses to new international money transfer operators, enabling them timely access to naira liquidity, and implementing a willing buyer, willing seller model. Vice President Kashim Shettima has called for stronger cooperation between Nigeria and Tanzania to advance shared goals for continental growth and unity. The Vice President made the statement while receiving former Tanzanian President Jakaya Kikwete at the presidential villa in Abuja. He commended the Tanzanian government for its support of Nigerian businesses in Dar es Salaam and other cities, while emphasizing the need to deepen economic and social ties between the two countries, particularly within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Both leaders also highlighted the importance of revisiting outdated agreements and strengthening bilateral relations in the spirit of African solidarity. The Nigerian Ports Authority says it's prepared to implement the electronic call-up system at the One Port Complex in Port Harcourt, River State, to ease evacuation of cargo at the facility. Management of the NPA made this known when senior executives within the maritime industry paid a pre-implementation visit to the NPA headquarters in Lagos State. This comes after the Federal Executive Council approved the initiative recently, which is expected to begin implementation before the end of this quarter. The One Port Complex, which is also the largest oil and gas logistics base in West and Central Africa, has been recording unprecedented growth in the vessel and cargo traffic. Let's go over to the local stock market now, which made some recovery from the impact of Monday's sell pressure by investors. Will Ibong tells us more about these figures.
Thank you, Joke. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. As predicted by analysts I spoke to earlier today, the market closed in the green, bucking the negative trend we've seen for some days now. And this was helped by stocks in the oil and gas sector. O&O and Seplat boosting that counter. Seplat gained about 47 naira today. O&O rising for a second day this week. All gave a boost, giving the market a breather from the bear. Now, following this reversal in trend, the all-share index rose today, though slightly by about 0.12%. It's still below 96,000 level, and just about 65 billion naira was added to the market cap, sounding more like a drop in the ocean compared to the over 700 billion naira that was lost on Monday. And that's why we see the value increasing just by about 0.5% today. But it's still work in progress. We see the other volume and value and deals red today. Analysts say we should expect a correction in the coming months as sentiment remains positive in terms of the market breadth we have in more gainers than losers in the market. But while we wait for that, investors may want to take an advantage of this to bargain hunt. And those are the highlights for today's Stock Market Report. Will Ibong, signing out.
That's Business News Tonight. Ayotunde, back to you.
Thank you, Joke. Summer Puzi is up next with our international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Divers are struggling to reach the cabins of the British luxury yacht that sank off Sicily with 6 people still missing. The team have identified the wreck on the seabed but say there is a world of objects blocking access to the rooms and that divers have only 10 minutes to search before needing to resurface. Among the missing are the Morgan Stanley International chairman Jonathan Bloomer and his wife Judy and British tech tycoon Mike Lynch. One body has been found and is believed to be the ship's cook. Survivors of the Bayesian yacht, which was 55 meters in length, say the ship capsized within a few minutes. Separately, it has emerged that Mike Lynch's co-defendant in a recent major legal case, Stephen Chamberlain, died on Saturday in a road accident. The Democratic National Convention has kicked off in Chicago with speeches from Kamala Harris and an emotional Joe Biden. Day one of the event started with a planned but unannounced appearance by Miss Harris herself, who took the stage to thunderous applause.
This is going to be a great week. And I want to kick us off by celebrating our incredible President Joe Biden.
The main event, though, was the US president. Speaking to a packed arena in Chicago on the first night of the Democratic National Convention, Joe Biden offered a passionate defense of his presidency, as well as calling on people to defend democracy at the ballot box.
Are you ready to vote for freedom? Are you ready to vote for democracy and for America? Let me ask you, are you ready to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, President and Vice President of the United States? For 50 years, like many of you, I've given my heart and soul to our nation. And I've been blessed a million times in return for the support of the American people. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
Israel's military has said the bodies of 6 hostages being held by Hamas have been retrieved from the Gaza Strip. A statement from the Israeli Defense Forces said the bodies were recovered from the Khan Yunis area on Monday. The overnight recovery operation was carried out by the IDF alongside the security agency Shin Bet. The 6 men had all been kidnapped from Kibbutz near Oz and Kibbutz Nirim, near Israel's border fence with Gaza, during Hamas's attacks on southern Israel on the 7th of October. A suspected serial killer in Kenya has escaped from custody, prompting a manhunt. In July, police said Collins Jumaisai Kalusha had confessed to the murders of 42 women, including his wife, since 2022. Mr. Kalusha's lawyer denied the claim, saying his client had been tortured to confess. He had been held at a police station since being arrested in July, but on Tuesday authorities said Mr. Kalusha and 12 others had escaped by cutting through a wire mesh roof and scaling a perimeter wall. Volunteer firefighters have been filmed in a dramatic rescue operation during flooding in Connecticut in the US. 19 people and a dog were rescued from flash flooding in Oxford as the volunteer firefighters crawled across a ladder. Heavy rains swept the state with 2 reported missing. New Jersey and New York have also been affected by the severe weather. And stargazers around the world have enjoyed a visual treat of the supermoon, which appears as red or yellow at dusk. The first of 4 full supermoons this year has lit up the night skies around the world. In some places, the supermoon, also a blue moon, turned red due to smoke from wildfires in North America. Smoke particles mean that light passing through the atmosphere is scattered in such a way that the orange and red colours of the spectrum are more visible than usual. Blue moons are not that common. It's thought this is where the phrase "once in a blue moon" comes from. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The former Director General of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Ndi Okeriko Nyuke, believes baseball can rival football in the country if proper attention is given to the sport. Okeriko Nyuke, who is the pioneer of the game in Nigeria, is optimistic that our efforts to draw attention to the sport, which will debut at the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, will soon yield positive results. Nigeria's women premiership champions, Edo Queens, are just one win away in their quest to play in the 2024 Women's Champions League. The Edo State-based team this evening defeated Cote d'Ivoire's side Inter Abidjan 2-1 in the WAFU B Zona qualifier holding in Cote d'Ivoire. Essien and Blessing Niamien got the 2 goals for Edo Queens and will face Benin Republic in the finals. The International Tennis Integrity Agency clears world #1 Yannick Sinner of any wrongdoing after twice testing positive for a banned substance earlier in the season, after the player had explained that the substance had entered his system as a result of contamination from a support team member. Sinner provided an in-competition sample at the Indian Wells Masters on March the 10th, which contained the presence of the banned substance at low level. A further sample conducted 8 days later out of the competition also tested positive for low level of the same substance. That's it on sport. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. The leadership of the NLC at a meeting today threatened to embark on national strike if its president, Joe Ajero, is detained by the Nigeria police in the course of investigation. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night and please stay safe.